Talk to me about Michael Parsons. What are your thoughts there?
Well, I think he's good myself. What do you think? You seem like you got something negative to say, man.
I have nothing negative to say.
Okay, I mean, you got to scare me. I'm like, don't let me walk into a trap over here.
Hey, look, Greg Ellis done been in the Dallas media market before. He already know I'm not about to get caught slipping here. What is going on, everybody? As you can see, we are about to dive deep into the 3 brand new names that the Cowboys are bringing onto their roster of coaches as we take a deep dive into who these guys are and what we can expect from them as it pertains to experience and attitude. You already got a brief look at the interview with Greg Ellis with Fanatics View, but I want to take a look at another clip as Greg Ellis was talking about Mike McCarthy and the job that he's done coaching the Cowboys thus far.
I like Mike, man. He coached me when 1 year just in the Pro Bowl.
Okay.
I like Mike, man. He's a good guy in my opinion. You know, well, here's what you got to look at. 2 things. I thought they were going to get rid of Mike, and no respect, Mike. I think you should stay there myself. I think you deserve. He's coached well enough to stay there. And the reason why is, you know, you look at the last 3 years, they've won 12 games, right? In those last 3 years, right? I mean, why would you want to get rid of that, right? Now, the reason I thought they were would at least explore a new coach, because it's 3 years,
right? And
we hadn't made any serious damage in the playoffs. That was the reason why I thought, you know, hey, they're gonna probably try to look at something a little different. But I think it's the right move to make. 12-5, man, it's hard to get rid of that.
It's hard to get rid of that.
Yeah, it's hard to get rid of that.
And he actually gave his thoughts on coming back to the Cowboys before he actually got hired. And how he responded actually may surprise you.
What's it going to take to get Greg Ellis back out there to help these Dallas Cowboys?
It's going to take everybody in here going to need to get on their knees.
Well, you know, they got shots.
And they're going to need to pray,
baby.
You
know, you get little shots or whatever.
We're going to need a lot of shots.
His only real coaching experience comes from his 2 head coaching stops at Texas College and Southwest Assemblies of God University, or SAG-U. Beyond that, he was a Dallas Cowboy player that played here for 10 seasons from 1998 to 2008. And he was a dog. Greg Ellis was one of those big back guys on that defensive line that was putting in work. He was a guy that was able to get to the quarterback, played with a nasty attitude and physicality, as he was a guy that forced fumbles frequently during his career, getting multiple forced fumbles pretty much every season he played for the Cowboys outside of a couple. And on top of that, I think he's just going to bring some much needed leadership and just a strong voice to be represented as like a veteran, like an OG in that locker room, as he was someone that played for the Cowboys, so he definitely understands exactly what these players are going through right now, and just kind of played a role of You can definitely tell this Cowboys team just needs a lot more veteran leadership. CeeDee Lamb and Michael Parsons didn't bring up the fact that Dak needed help leading this team for no reason. This is the 2nd youngest team in the NFL. This team needs as much veteran leadership and competent people on it as possible.
You were back in the day. How do you think you guys would have handled that whole Twitter situation where his brother was speaking on Dak, you got CeeDee Lamb's mom speaking on Dak, you got all these people.
And because I'm not with the Cowboys, because I don't play with them, that is totally out of bounds. As a veteran of the team, you know, that veteran, whoever they look to for their leadership, that real team captain, not the one that the coaches say, hey, here's our team captain, but that real locker room guy needs to have a team meeting and say, hey guys, we can't have that. We at no time can we have that.
I think Greg Ellis is going to be a good fit for the role that he's designated for, which is to be the assistant defensive line coach to one Jeff Zgonina. First of all, he was a standout defensive tackle at Purdue, so he is another guy that has hands-on experience playing the position he's going to be coaching, and he did it at a decently high level, at least on one respectable level, which was in college for a respectable program with the Purdue Boilermakers. And he was named Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year during his time at school. After that, he got drafted into the NFL and somehow managed to be a journeyman for 17 years in the league, getting drafted in the 7th round, and was a journeyman for 17 years. What that tells me for him is just a person, as a human being, is that 1, he's very resilient. 2, he's adaptable. 3, he probably has learned a ton and he understands how to stick in this league. A lot of players flame out after about 3 or 4 years, as I think the average length of NFL career is like 3.5 years or something like that, or 4 years or something. He managed to stay in the league for 17 years as a guy that wasn't making a huge impact on the field. I mean, he had okay stats, but I mean, you could tell he was playing, but he was more of a spot player, but he did make plays when given the opportunity. He racked up 26 total sacks over the course of his career, had 1 interception, some pass deflections, 37 tackles for a loss. I mean, so he wasn't a star player by any means, but being able to be drafted in 1993 and in your last season being in 2009 is insane to me, bro. That is insane. So come on, Paul Z, you can go ahead and come over here, because obviously you understand what it takes to be successful, at least to stick around in this league. And then the previous stop that he was at, obviously he's coming from the Washington Commanders over there working with their defensive line, and we understand the guys that he had on that defensive line. Now, they had some dogs over there, and we all know that Washington's defensive line has probably been the most potent thing on that team over the last few seasons. Now, this season they start to rip it apart because they were doing through a rebuild, but he still obviously was doing a decent enough job with those guys, because we definitely saw Washington's defensive line have some production, even though they were battling injuries with guys like Chase Young and they really didn't get the full potential out of them. I mean, he did a decent enough job over there. He definitely didn't, quote unquote, fail. I mean, obviously he didn't get fired. The Cowboys just kind of poached. The best thing about this dude is he's worked under Kyle Shanahan. He worked with the 49ers in 2017 and in 2018, y'all. You know what that means? He probably has some inside clue as to what to do against that scheme. And of course, the last person that's being brought to the staff is probably the dude that, I'm gonna be honest, I'm probably the least excited about, Paul Guenther. Now, I do think this is a good hire just because of his experience and the fact that there is familiarity with Mike Zimmer. But just in general, his results as a defensive coordinator. Now, I know he's only going to be coming here as a run game coordinator, so he's not necessarily the defensive coordinator, but he is the run game coordinator. Still need a passing game coordinator. Steve Wilkes, is that you online too? I hope so. But he is going to be coming here as the run game coordinator. What that means to me is he's going to be working hand in hand with Mike Zimmer, doing some of the things that he mentioned in some of his interviews before, as he talked about working with Mike Zimmer in the past.
Hey, Coach, welcome to Minnesota. I guess just what are your initial thoughts about working with Mike Zimmer again? I know you've worked together in the past. Is that something you kind of jumped at the chance to do that again?
Yeah, Eric, having an opportunity to learn from Mike when we were in Cincinnati together and kind of build this system up to where it is today, it's really exciting to get back with him, a guy I'm real familiar with. His core values, the way he runs the team, the way he runs the program here is very exciting to join forces again.
In terms of the role that you expect to have, what kinds of things do you expect to be doing, whether it's on game day or just during the week? How do you think that's going to look?
Well, it's early on in the process. Obviously, I just got here yesterday, but from what I understand, it's helping out all 3 levels of the defense. I've been able to coach those 3 levels throughout my career. Maybe help out some things situationally, game day, packages, whether it be situational packages, just the overall details of the scheme and the players within it. Looking for guys that can fit our scheme, whether it be in free agency or the draft and those type of things.
So yeah, we got a good look at some of the things that he looks for during practice.
Our players on strain plays, we grade them on loafs, we grade them on tip balls, whatever it may be, strip attempts, those type of things.
And some of the types of things that he's done for Mike Zimmer when he's been employed by him in the past. As far as Paul Guenther, maybe the guy we're looking at is someone who's helping scout some of the players that may be coming to the Dallas Cowboys defense that Mike Zimmer might want to bring in. I think he's going to be kind of facilitating that, or at least having Paul Guenther collaborate on that task with him in some type of fashion, right? Because he's done that before. You can only guess that he's probably going to help Mike Zimmer do some things that he's done before in the past with him. Make everyone's lives easier, especially when you have a dude who's been a defensive coordinator at 2 different places, albeit not super successful at those places. If you look at his defensive ranks, they're not overly impressive, to be quite honest. I think his best defensive year was probably 2015 with the Cincinnati Bengals. That was probably his best year as a defensive coordinator. Outside of that, I mean, he's had some pretty rough looking years, man. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of these numbers look kind of rough. He didn't have a lot of success. He just did not have a ton of success as a defensive coordinator, but he will not be maintaining that position here with the Cowboys. He's going to be assisting Mike Zimmer, who's our defensive coordinator. We know Mike Zimmer has had success everywhere he's been. And a lot of the time, sometimes when people can take something off their plate and they can focus in more on one particular job, they perform better. So hopefully that's the situation with Paul Guenther. But honestly, after looking into all three guys, with Greg Ellis's experience and me understanding the type of mentality and temperament he's going to be bringing to that defensive line, and the fact that he can tell these guys, like, hey guys, I've done it here in your shoes, I've walked your shoes, that's super positive to me. I like Paul Z. I like his experience. I like the fact that he's hung around the league for just so long, even after being drafted in the 7th round as a player. Sticking around for 17 years is incredibly impressive. And then obviously we got Paul G here as well. But Mike Zimmer, he's getting an interesting squad of coaches together. I'm just gonna wait and see. I want to really see exactly what players they bring in, because I think the players that they bring in and the players that they let leave is what's going to tell us the most about this Dallas Cowboys team, right? But either way, let me know what you think about all this down in the comments below. Y'all know how we have to end these videos. We steal them Cowboys.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boy? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Shut up, my boy. Hey! I'm still them boys.